welcome to our latest Soccer Down here 1v1 part of the virtual brewery tour. It's actually not a 1v1 today. We'll get there in a second. We will be out visiting all of these breweries you guys have heard about very, very soon. We're working towards that. You know, there are some safety concerns. There's all kinds of things going on. Everybody's starting to ramp back up. And one that has been added to our list that we're very excited to go see later this year is in Tucker Brewing Company. And we are joined right now by Eliana Barnard, the Director of Marketing, and one of the co-founders, Ashley Chapman-Hubbard. Thanks for joining us today.
Well, thanks for having both of us. We appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks so much, Jason. We're super excited to be here.
I hear you guys are big soccer fans over there as well.
Yes, we are. So we last year we did a whole EPL Saturday. We would open up at 7 a.m. for some Saturdays, maybe not all of the 7 a.m. games, and then we would also definitely do the 10 o'clock game. So it was a shared responsibility of opening up that early, and it was fun. You know, you got to meet some of the locals and a lot of, soccer fans throughout Atlanta. And some would come and have coffees and donuts with us, and others would just go straight for the beer. And either way, we liked it. So it was fun.
See, that's awesome to me because that's not something that we've typically seen from the brewery side. I mean, the later games are easier for you guys, but to open up like a pub, that's a commitment.
Totally. Well, and it was a shared responsibility of I would come in on a Saturday, open up, and then pass the baton to the tasting room manager coming in for their normal shift. And then the tasting room manager would come in early one Saturday, and then our marketing manager would come in early one Saturday. So it wasn't, at least I hope it wasn't a daunting task for our team to come in and do it. But I think when it was shared, it felt a little bit more of a team effort. So.
And then how have the crowds been and the response been with Atlanta United matches?
They're actually really great. I mean, Atlanta United, it kind of speaks for itself, having the following that it does. And I think there's so many transplants in Atlanta and not that many people grew up with a professional soccer team. So I think when Atlanta United started and, it's this team that everybody can get behind and they do so well, that it really has been, the fans are awesome. I mean, they come out in droves and they, have their black and red on and are really big supporters. And it really is. It's a fun time of seeing everybody. And everybody is glued to the TVs when we have it on and they're cheering and clapping and, cheersing. So it really is a fun environment.
Eliana, have you found it interesting, from a marketing perspective, connecting a brewery with the soccer community? Has that had some challenges? Has it had some advantages?
Honestly, I think it just makes us special. It's cool to be we started the brewery, Ashley and Ryan, because they had a passion for beer and especially German beer, and they also have a passion for soccer. And so when you're putting your passions into something you love, it's easy for other people to feel that passion too. And I think that just makes it all the more special.
All right, let's get into that story. Ashley had a passion for beer, German beer, but what was it that took a passion for that and made it a business?
So I actually have to give my brother kudos, which I don't know if I want, but I'll give it to him. But no, so my brother's kind of the crazy idea guy, and I think I would be more of okay, great idea, but what about this? What about this? And probably more a little bit a reality gut check kind of person. But anyway, so he threw out the idea in 2017, and at the time I was like, that is a phenomenal idea, but we don't really know anything about brewing. And I mean, he homebrewed with my dad growing up, and he lived overseas and was exposed to beer early at a young age. But he threw out the idea, and a little bit of my background. I went to the Culinary Institute of America in Hyde Park, New York. So I had gone to culinary school, was in the food industry for a minute and wisened up and got out. But I got out for reasons not that I didn't love the industry. It was just I wanted to get out of the kitchen kind of thing, but wanted to stay into it. And long story short, when he threw the idea out, to me, it sparked a really fire inside me of, this is an opportunity for me to go back in an industry that I enjoy, but going back kind of at a different angle. So, it's more the beverage side, which I didn't have as much experience on, but if you know anything about food and how it pairs with alcohol, it really is a fun experience. So I was totally 100% on board, regardless of being kind of okay, let's think through this, let's not do so much pie in the sky, but reality check of what's this going to look like and who's going to be responsible for what and how are we going to do it, and asking all those questions. And literally from him throwing out the idea to when we opened basically took 14 months. It was a crash course. It was a wild ride, a lot of long nights. But, I think now 2 years in, it really is. We have a phenomenal team. I can't say enough about our team. And it's been a lot of work, but it's been really, really fun. So he was the one that kind of threw the idea out, but I would say I probably had more experience within the industry itself, and I think it was a good marry of the two.
One thing that struck me about the way you guys have come together, and one of the big selling points that you put out is the link to the history of Tucker. Mm-hmm. I think something I've learned from doing these virtual brewery tour 1v1s is how, Atlanta, the state of Georgia, big place, lots of different things, but all the different breweries are really representing the area that they're in. And you guys represent Tucker and Tucker's history very strongly. How important was that as you were starting to come up with the story?
It was really important because, to give a little bit of backstory, when we initially threw out the idea, we had said, well, what are you going to call the company? And we said, do you call it Chapman Brewing Company? And everybody's like, that's a lame idea. And then we're like, well, what about Tucker? We're located in Tucker. The city had just become a city in December of 2016. There really wasn't anything in this area. And we kind of went back and forth for a bit. We even hired a marketing firm to come up with names for us. And these names were so out there, it was just ridiculous. And they did 4 rounds. It was a financial lesson learned. Ended up not picking any of the names and just kind of went back to what we initially said of really, let's be Tucker Brewing. There's nobody else has that name. They just became a city. It's really, kind of Ryan's experience growing up. The brewery really is a part of the town. It's not just in the town, it's really a part of it. When he was overseas, and kind of want to emulate that and what we were doing. So we thought, what better way can you emulate being a part of a town with having the name of your brewery as, the city itself. So it was really, really important to us.
So I've been blown away during this time, whether it's the soccer community, the restaurant industry, the bar industry, the brewery industry, and how people are having to get creative to figure out, first, when we couldn't do events, we couldn't get together, we couldn't do the things that make all of these industries special, but then the creativity that's kind of emerged and ways to keep things going and still keep connecting with people. Eliana, from your end, how hard is it to market something that is all about community when you can't actually come together as a community?
That's a good question, but I feel like, honestly, we haven't had the toughest time because our community is so strong, and we love being able to drink with our community at the brewery. But what's great is you can bring it home and you can still feel that community aspect. So we've challenged ourselves to ask the question, how can we stay a tight-knit community when we're not always together? And we did something really fun earlier on in March where we did something called Malt Madness, where we were trying to figure out, okay, how can we stay interacting with our community even when we're not playing trivia at the brewery or when we're not listening to live music together? We knew that our customers are super sporty and fun, and we were kind of sad we weren't being able to fill out a bracket as a team. So we said, let's fill out a beer bracket. So we came up with 64 ingredients and said, I worked with our head brewmaster Tucker on this and said, okay, the final 4 ingredients we'll use in a pilot batch. And so we put this out all over social and got thousands of votes. And we actually just released our Malt Madness beer a couple weeks ago, and it was gone in the first weekend.
Yeah.
And so just stuff like that's been really fun. I think we all love the creativity challenge, and we felt love from our community throughout all of this.
That's awesome. That's one I've not heard. I really like that. And second, the head brewmaster at Tucker Brewing Company is named Tucker.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which I think initially he was like, oh, this is fun. And now he's kind of like, okay, yes, my name is Tucker. I work for Tucker Brewing in Tucker, Georgia. Can we please move on? And then sometimes he'll joke and say, my name's TJ. So he doesn't have to have that conversation. But yes, it's true. And it was very random. He actually is from Maryland.
That's
so
amazing.
Not even from the South, but yeah.
Meant to be. Absolutely
Right,
meant to
exactly.
be. So, Ashley, what have the effects been on the business? I mean, even with the creativity, even with trying to come up with new ways to stay connected, this has to be difficult, because it's not what you planned for.
Yeah, for sure. It's definitely not what we planned for. And to see the events just slowly, one by one, drop like flies on our event calendar, it was a little disheartening. But I mean, we weren't the only people going through it. So, I think I'm very much of the mindset of, things happen, and what are you going to do? Like, don't cry over spilled milk. Like, what's the next step kind of thing. So I think for us, it was, it was a bummer, but, it's also opportunity too. So for us, we really put a focus into, okay, well, let's, we can't keep our bar staff on every day at, the levels that it once was when you're open for the tasting room, but okay, we can change our bar staff every day and at least bring someone in to work our tasting room menu or our tasting room window for to-go orders. So we had that going. Then we expanded. We're normally not open on Monday and Tuesdays. We opened up on Monday and Tuesdays, so now it's 7 days a week. Eliana came up with the idea of doing the Malt Madness to kind of keep the community involved, and people were really looking for something at that time. So it was kind of a way to kind of stay in front of our community, have that interaction, but still kind of help support the business. And then we kind of revamped our online store, which Eliana, I give credit to her for being the one to drive that, putting effort into the online store, getting it to where we can do pre-orders, where we can do curbside service, and really kind of pivoting ourselves to work with what we have and what's going on in the world. So, we increased our hours, we increased our online store, we tried to increase interaction with our community, and then rode it out for about 2 months and then opened back up on May 16th. So
how hard was it to navigate that open and back up with different safety issues, with just figuring all that out?
Yeah, I mean, I think the hardest part was that every day it would change. So, I mean,
Right.
We planned for, okay, you can have 10 people per 500 square feet. Okay, well, today, no, it's 10 people per 300 square feet. And, instead of 6 people at a table, now you can have 10. So, I mean, I think for that, we kind of erred on the side of caution of, okay, yes, our facility is 10,000 square feet, and, you divide that by 300 and whatever that number ends up coming to be, we said, well, let's cap it at 250 to play it safe. So that way it's like you're not totally pushing your limits of having too many people here and making people feel uncomfortable. And, that was kind of on a capacity side where our bar staff, I mean, I have to give credit to them of, hey, let's all get together. We sat down, had a meeting. This is our new policy going forward. Cleaning every hour. Here's a solution of bleach and water that we're going to be doing on all touch surfaces that are communal, and put a checklist in place and who's manning what every hour kind of thing. So a lot of more kind of check and balances and a lot of kind of more legwork on their side. But, all in all, I think everybody was happy to get back to work. So I think everybody was really open to, okay, if this is going to be our new normal, then let's do it and let's go for it.
Yeah, our bar staff team's been doing an amazing job, and something that I noticed specifically is the way that they're doing it in a way that makes people feel safe, but not like we're hounding down with a bunch of rules. It's rules that people are happy are in place, and they're doing it from a nice manner where they're not getting in people's ways. They're wiping down tables, cleaning the bathrooms every hour, but it's never intrusive.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of people have come up to me and said, I love coming to Tucker because it feels semi-normal. Even though we feel safe and clean, you guys are, I mean, there's not a bunch of red X's everywhere.
Right.
You make us feel happy, like this is the new normal, we're safe and comfortable.
And I think one thing too for us, like our space, I mean, it's big enough to where we pulled a lot of tables out, and it was funny when we pulled a lot of tables out of the beer garden, everybody unanimously was like, I actually prefer it this way. You know, it's not as kind of claustrophobic, you know, whatever. And it really does. It's a little bit more intimate and a little bit more, if you come here with the group, you really get to hang out with your group, and you don't have, you know, Joe Schmo on your shoulder, you know, listen to your conversation kind of thing. So it's kind of nice for everybody who has been cooped up, who maybe they live in an apartment and don't have a balcony, or, you know, whatever the situation might be of their living situation. It's really a place for people to be able to come and feel safe, your space far enough apart. And we really are doing our part to keep to that COVID standard that, you know, is a safety not only for our patrons, but also for our employees as well.
So I want to get an answer from each of you about somebody who's listening to this for the first time. They're ready to get out and go have a beer. They come to Tucker. What beer do you recommend to them?
Ooh, do you want to take it first, or do you want me to go?
I want to choose two, so maybe well,
I was going to say I want to choose two too, but okay, I won't go with the obvious one, but I'll go with, if they've never been here before, I would say I recommend the Goza or Gozana. It's a Goza, so it's kind of tart, more tart than sour, but it's tart. It's the brewers use sea salt and coriander seeds, so it kind of has this earthy sea salt kind of flavor to it. Honestly, with the weather and how things are, how hot they have been and how hot they are going to be, it really is. It's crushable. It's so delicious and good. That would be one I would recommend. That is only tasting room. Well, it's tasting room only of availability. But I would say my other one would be our Tucker Lager. It's a Helles style beer, so it's kind of a light Pilsner or light lager. And it's a little bit more well-rounded. It has sweet notes to it. It has some bitterness to it. And honestly, I mean, for a hot summer day or just all around drinking, it's a flavorful lager it's such an easy drinking beer. And I personally really enjoy it. So if you catch me during the summer or spring in the tasting room, I'm probably drinking one of those too. And the obvious one of a Radler, but I'll let you.
So many are so good. It's truly hard. The first one that came to my mind is actually a little different, and it's our Kolsch. It's called our Mandarina Kolsch, and I just think it's cool because it's not everywhere. It's super different. It's made with Mandarina Bavaria hops, so it has a citrusy, floral feel, and it's just a great, clean, easy drinking beer that is a little different, but it's not bitter. It's just super clean and awesome. So that's
I'm fascinated by that one.
Yeah,
it's really good.
That one's really cool. Huh. And then I have the scale, and I'm like, do I choose Southern Heaven Hefeweizen or TKR Pilsner, my other one?
Okay.
And, you know, I'm going to just break the rules and talk about So Southern Heaven was the one I first fell in love with when I came to Tucker, and it's a Hefeweizen, but it has flavors of banana and clove, and it just, it's pretty freaking awesome.
It is. I mean, it smells like when you have the aromatics and smell it in your glass, it's this kind of spicy banana-y aroma to it. It's delicious.
And we serve it in this awesome, is it a Hefeweizen glass?
Yeah.
Is that what it's called? Mm-hmm. And it's just huge, and you see the different hues of the beer coming through from like caramely brown to lighter, and it's beautiful in the sunlight. And then the TKR Pilsner is on the other side, just knowing that the brewers put over 6 months into the ideation of the recipe process and that we source all of the ingredients from Germany. That is the true Pilsner that people try it and they say, I mean, I read a comment on social the other day that said, this is the closest thing I've ever gotten to being in Germany and having a Pilsner. So I know that's not just one. But
I know.
That's, 3, but it's okay.
Audience of giving them a well-rounded offer.
So now I have 5 beers I have to have on my list when I come over. So it might take a couple trips for me.
Exactly. Yeah.
But that's cool. Let everybody know where they can follow you guys for everything as you're ramping back up, as you're open and people are starting to come out. Where can they follow for all the latest?
Sure. So we make it really easy. We're Tucker Brewing Co. everywhere. So whether you're on Instagram or Twitter, you can search us on Facebook, Tucker Brewing Company. But yeah, we'd love if you would follow along. We share a lot of secret details only on social and on our email list too that let our customers know what's coming up and when we have new beer releases and things like that.
Has business bounced back pretty good, Ashley? I mean, is it starting to see the light at the end of the tunnel through this?
Yeah, we're starting to. It's definitely not where it could be or where it once was, but it's definitely better than March and April, to say the least. But it's going back up, so it's very exciting.
Well, hopefully. Oh, go ahead.
Oh, I was going to say, and we're opening a kitchen July 1, so we'll have food that we will actually be making on premise and serving to everyone coming. It'll be tableside service and it'll be an eclectic menu, so it'll kind of be a range of things, but people can start seeing that come July 1 at the brewery.
Oh, that's exciting. That's going to add to it as well. That can't be easy to be launching right around now either, can it?
It tastes good to be launching.
Exactly.
There you go.
Doing some chef tastings to kind of feel out who we want our head chef to be, but so that part's really fun and exciting. But I mean, it kind of just plays into who we are as a brand, that we really want to bring stuff in house and have that control of quality and really speak to what we are as a brand. And I think food and beer go very well together, and I think there's a lot of fun opportunities ahead for us too of, yes, we do beer and that's primarily what we do, but we also will have food and it'll be a full service kitchen. And then as events start to come back to life, we'll do beer and food pairing dinners and kind of a variety of things along that line that I really think it's going to be a fun experience that, you probably don't see at most breweries.
That's awesome. I mean, beer and food go well together. Beer and community go well together. Soccer and community go well together. And soccer and beer go pretty well together, too. And I'm looking forward to bringing soccer down here over to hang out with you guys and talk soccer once we get back into the Atlanta United season and what this fall could look like. It's going to be a busy front, for soccer this fall. And I'd imagine it's looking like it's going to be pretty busy for y'all as well.
Definitely. And we're really excited too. I mean, we're excited to have, soccer come back, and just sports in general too, to come back, because it really, sports is community and, brings people together just like beer is community too. So having all of that kind of combined is something that we're really looking forward to.
Ashley, Eliana, thank you all so much for your time today. We'll be seeing you hopefully soon and talk some soccer, and I might have to come over and try that Kolsch.
Yeah, absolutely. I could hear it in your voice. You want that.
I know.
I've never heard of a Kolsch like that, so I'm really excited about this. Thank you so much for the time. I appreciate it.
Thanks.
Thank you.